Hi everyone, my name is Leslie. Today we're going to talk about credit cards, how consumer facing technology has transformed this industry, and where we think this technology is headed in the future. For many years, the process for using a credit card involved a manual imprint machine and a payment slip that would capture an imprint of the credit card. Here's an example of an imprint machine in action. These were colloquially called knuckle busters. The result most oftentimes were very long lines.
Look at the size of this line.
Hang in there, Chief. The long lines were partly due to the amount of time it took the stores to process the transaction. For every transaction, store personnel had to call the bank to obtain a verbal authorization. These transactions were considered offline since no direct connectivity existed between the store and the bank. And it took an even greater amount of time for the merchant to be paid. Store personnel had to gather payment slips over several days and send them to the bank. Bank personnel had to gather all payment slips received and reconciled against the authorization codes before making payment. It wasn't uncommon for a merchant to wait weeks before being paid for a transaction. By the late 1970s, credit card companies had begun adding the magnetic stripe onto the card. This stripe contained several tracks of data that allowed special readers to record vital information about the card and the cardholder. By the 1980s and through the 90s, companies like Verifone and Hypercon had produced credit card terminals capable of reading the magnetic stripe and obtaining authorization through a dial-up connection. This led to the modern architecture for processing credit cards. Stores are connected instantly to their acquiring bank, who routes authorization requests to the appropriate card networks such as Visa or MasterCard. These in turn obtain the authorization from the card issuing bank. The card issuing bank returns an authorization or decline decision back through the same channel and makes payment to the acquiring bank for the benefit of the merchant. The result is a much more efficient process that allows for fast authorizations to speed up checkout lines and faster payment to the merchant. However, despite advances in efficiencies, one frequent complaint against card transactions is the amount of fraud in the ecosystem. It is not hard to replicate a counterfeit card if certain pieces of information can be obtained, such as the card number, expiry date, and zip code. All of this information is available in the tracked data on the magnetic stripe, and industry participants spend much time and effort trying to protect this data. More recently, new technology has been implemented to secure card transactions. Smart chips have been integrated into credit cards to help authenticate them and prevent counterfeit cards. When a chip card is presented at a chip-enabled terminal, the chip is required to complete the transaction. Additionally, with continued growth of e-commerce and mobile technology, credit cards are increasingly being digitized through apps such as Apple Pay, Android Pay, and Samsung Pay, among others. The evolution of credit cards will continue to revolve around convenience and security. Wearable technology will continue to improve, and its penetration is expected to increase. These will provide wearers the ability to pay without having to pull out a wallet or a phone. Retailers are also learning how to leverage the digitization of credit cards. Organizations such as Amazon, Walmart, and Home Depot are testing cashierless locations to help eliminate any friction that comes up during the checkout process. Innovation in security will also continue to be a focus. Besides advances made in chip technology and communication protocols such as encryption and tokenization, future advances may include biometric security to better authenticate the cardholder. Some of the card networks have already begun testing with applications that involve fingerprint, facial recognition, and iris scanning. Due to the growing popularity of cryptocurrencies, the card networks are also looking at how they can leverage blockchain technology to not only improve their reconciliation process, but also to create actionable data that can be used for many purposes, including for promotions. I hope you enjoyed this video and the information we provided. It was our pleasure to review the credit card industry with you.